Welcome, everybody, to another edition of By the Railside Podcast Movie Review. With me today, I have Jordan and I have Jeff.
Belay.
And my name's Zach. I didn't do that.
Uh,
I just had some ice cream, so I'm a little phlegmy, just so
This
you
is
know.
not information that people need to know.
Yeah, they do.
No, what they need to know is what we're reviewing this week.
You know what we're reviewing this week? We're reviewing
I know.
Iron Man 2. The second
Electric
Iron Man.
Boogaloo.
That's
Get
not-
it?
No.
Electric Boogaloo?
Get it? Because his heart runs on electricity.
No, because the whips are made of electricity. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright,
This
Zach, you
whip.
can continue.
All right. Yes, Iron Man 2, which is the fourth movie currently in our MCU watch through, where we're making Jeff watch every single MCU movie there is, including the obvious favorites of Ant-Man and Ant-Man 2.
I'm dying inside.
It's going to be his second favorite movie after, of course, only after the Warcraft movie.
Yes. Before we get into what the movie's actually about and the description from Jordan, don't forget to give us a follow on Twitch, www.twitch.tv/bytherailside, and then follow us on all our socials, Twitter @byrailside and Instagram @bytherailside. And you can join us in our Discord, and you can find the links to all those places, or Discord at all those places, and then on Twitch.
Do you know you can just drop the www?
Yeah, I could. I've never said www in all the podcasts that I've advertised Twitch, and this is the first time. So
I disagree. I'd like to be more accurate. Please follow us at https.
all right. After you're done following, take a listen to the movie description from Jordan.
Yeah, and we're going to go with number 3 from Halo 1K. Sorry, I had to belch. Now that Tony Stark has revealed to the world that he's Iron Man, the entire world is now eager to get their hands on his hot technology, whether it's the United States government, weapons contractors, or someone else. That someone else happens to be Ivan Vanko, the son of now deceased Anton Vanko, which you get to witness. Howard Stark's former partner. Stark had Vanko banished to Russia for conspiring to commit treason against the U.S., and now Ivan wants revenge against Tony, and he's willing to get it at any cost, except for his book. But after being humiliated in front of the Senate Armed Forces Committee, rival weapons contractor Justin Hammer sees Ivan as the key to upping his status against Stark Enterprises after an attack on the Monaco 500. But an ailing Tony has to figure out a way to save himself, get Vanko, and get Hammer before the government shows up and takes his beloved suits away. And can he figure out what a mysterious figure named Nick Fury wants with him?
You
The
decide.
answer to that is no.
Yeah, like that last sentence should be, and can he figure out what the mysterious figure named Nick Fury wants with him, not a...
Yeah. Yeah. No, that guy.
He
fucked
is
up.
a mysterious figure.
Yeah, but it's referring to the specific mysterious figure known
Yeah,
as...
but Natasha's also a mysterious figure, so...
No, she's not. She's a beautiful woman with a
She could-
fat ass.
She could kick my ass any day.
All right, this podcast we're gonna have we actually discussed it. We're gonna have a bit more structure in this one, and then going forward, we got everything broken down into a few categories. We're gonna start out with some technical stuff, so the editing, the effects, and music and sound. Then we're gonna jump into some content, and then more support style things after that with the acting, cinematography, production design. And then we're going to end it off with a bunch of little extras that we found throughout the movie, as well as if we notice any nods to other Marvel movies that have already started. And maybe even talk about the post-credit scene, though I doubt Jeff watched it.
I didn't.
All right, so the technical stuff, the editing, the effects, the music. I fucking love all the music in Iron Man movies because it's always like classic rock.
Is there like a reason that it's like always AC/DC at the beginning of the movie, or is that just like something they chose? Does he listen to AC/DC in the comics or something like that, or?
I think it's just something that was they just kind of rolled with it, just like um, just to help develop his character. Just because the Iron Man song is like that classic rock by Black Sabbath, um, and I think they just rolled with that, and because he grew up in that time period when rock and roll was a thing, and he was kind of a rebellious youth, which you find out when he talks about how his dad is, and then in future Marvel movies, you see how he's not exactly the best son with his parents, but
So rebellious, picking that thing up off the table. Fuck that kid.
yeah. So I think that's why they go with the more classic rock, because that at the time when that came out, like that was the style of music and the genre of music that was like the fuck you to the man type deal,
Very true.
which is actually interesting because he says he's not nostalgic, but he'll always like go into like the vintage band tees you'll see him wearing, as well as like the old school music and stuff like
Well,
that.
just because you like something doesn't necessarily mean you're nostalgic, right? Like, just because you grew up liking something doesn't mean you only like it because you grew up with it, right? That could just be your style.
Yeah, think about like birthday cake. I had it when I was a kid, but I love it because I'm fat.
Yeah, exactly.
Checkmate, atheists.
I didn't have like any complaints about the music. Music's one thing that I definitely like need to pay more attention to. A lot of the time, unless the movie like revolves around like action sequences being like to the music, I never even notice it. The obvious one in this one would be when he fights War Machine, and gets whatever he calls that guy to drop him a beat. That fight scene, at least part of it, was more to music than the other ones. The other ones were generally just like exciting music in the background kind of thing. That's just like, to me, it literally just becomes background noise that I don't even notice if it's not like special, you know what I mean? So I didn't have any problems with the music, but nothing really stood out to me either. It's just, it was very bog standard, what you expect kind of music.
I liked. Sorry to interject, but I wanted to get this out.
No, I was pretty much done. So go ahead.
I liked how they used the music, like in the actual movie. Like it wasn't just okay, we're gonna have the song in the background. Like the dancers, like you can tell the audience is actually listening to the music there, so it's part of the actual like universe, if you want to say that. And at the birthday party as well, like it seemed like there was a lot of parts in the movie where they actually had the setup for the music was in the movie itself instead of them just like segueing in the background with the music.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like it's actually coming from within the movie instead of just being like a set piece kind of thing.
Yeah, and I like that because it helps me, like I guess, identify the song. Like I recognize it almost instantly that I'm actually hearing music with the scene.
Right. Yeah, and I think that kind of goes with what I said before about the fight scenes or whatever actually going with the music, because a lot of the time, if in stuff like Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim versus the World and whatnot, they actually have a lot of the action goes with the music, or the music goes with the action. However, they ordered it. Probably you choose the music first and then base it around that. But I think that just kind of goes hand in hand with it coming from within the movie rather than being in the background because they're drawing attention to it, right?
Yeah, and one of the next MCU movies coming up, the Guardians of the Galaxy, actually was the soundtrack was chosen before the like specifically for the movie and the scenes.
Yeah, because there's a big thing in Guardians of the Galaxy where he's got like a Walkman from his mom or something, right? And
Yeah,
that's where a lot of the soundtrack comes from, is from that.
yeah, exactly. One of the things uh, not so much, it didn't so much like bother me immensely, but the sounds of him moving while he's in the
Yeah.
suit gets super repetitive, and it's almost like why do you need this?
Yeah, they literally just put it in there to like remind people that it's a robot or whatever, and it's like we know it's a robot. That's like literally the whole point of the movie. You don't need these exaggerated hydraulic sounds when he turns left slightly. Like in the fight, you don't hear that kind of stuff. You hear the like the pew pew of the lasers and all that, but you don't hear the ching every time he moves, right? It's just in like the calm scenes. They're like, well, we need a sound effect.
Yeah, but think about this.
Yeah, fucking
Huh?
R2D2 trying to talk over here. And really, he's just turning left.
That was actually just that was made for robots. After the next Marvel movie, when Spider-Man starts making his suits, then the Roombas are going to take over.
Hell yeah.
Oh no. Overall, though, I do think that the CGI and the effects of um, either him going into the suits or one of the ones I kind of liked, it got kind of janky, but was when you first see Whiplash or Vanko. Um, on the track at the racetrack and having his clothes melting off with the when his whips start to light up. That one, I love that scene entirely because the mixture between CGI and um, practical effects seems like pretty um, well integrated into each other.
Yeah, while I agree the effects there were not too bad, can you imagine wearing something that's so hot it's literally burning the clothes off your skin and you're just like, no, this doesn't affect me whatsoever. Like you would be fucking melting.
Yeah.
No. I put tin foil on the inside with the shiny side facing out, so it redirects all that heat.
Yeah, I didn't have many problems with the effects. The only one section that or one thing that really like just immediately caught my eye and I rewound it. I was like, what the fuck? Was near the end when Natasha was breaking into Hammer Laboratories or whatever the fuck it was called, and she did like a weird front flip or a back flip over like a laundry basket, and that whole thing was just a big blur. Like they spent like 2 seconds on that effect. I was like, was that really? I rewound it and watched it again. It is actually atrocious. But other than that, it's not too bad. They did in this movie a lot more, I found, than the first one. Like the first one, the whole beginning of the movie, he was in a cave, and I didn't find there to be that many lighting issues. In this one, at the beginning, when they were introducing Ivan, they weren't really introducing him, but just like showing him and his dad died and whatnot. And then anytime he was working well in Russia, and then at the end of the movie again, there was a lot of darkness in it. And at the end, I think it was a lot of darkness to cut down on like CGI and whatnot, because if it's dark and you can't see it, they don't have to animate it, right? But the beginning, I don't really understand why. Like, why it was so dark that you could barely tell it was like Mickey Rourke, right? Like that was very, very dark to me.
Yeah.
That's the film significance of or signifying Russia. Like if they want to show like Mexico, let's just like film any city and then put like sepia tone. Just fuck it up with sepia tone.
Yeah.
He's got enough power and technology there to create an arc reactor that creates electric whips, but he can't turn on his light bulbs.
Yeah.
Those light bulbs suck. They
it's-
don't have LEDs over there yet.
His dad forgot to pay the bill before he died. That was his last words. It wasn't actually whatever it translated. It was like, "Yo, Ivan, the bills."
Yeah, my translation, I don't know if mine was right there. My translation said like all I can give you is my knowledge or something
Yeah.
like that, and then he died.
Yeah, that was right. So basically, it was
okay.
like because he worked hand in hand with
Yeah,
Howard
with
Stark,
Howard.
but Howard made it big, and Vanko just got like tossed aside and chucked in Siberia by the Russian government because he couldn't actually produce what they had built together. So
Yeah, and then he started selling plutonium to the fucking Arabians or something like that.
the Arabians, Lawrence of Arabia.
Just English guy.
Um, But yeah, overall, I think like this was a vast improvement, like effects wise and everything like that from the first one. It definitely shows that they were like what they started in the first one to get to the MCU, and then all of a sudden like people, the studio was like, yes, okay, I can see we're making money, so let's dump more money in to make these even better, and you can see that throughout with the um, like even the characters, like the characters themselves, if you look at that, like everyone seems much more comfortable in their roles.
I don't think I see anyone that seemed uncomfortable. So like the acting and whatnot was generally spot on. I don't think there was anyone that really stood out to me as like this guy seems unfit kind of thing.
No,
Um,
but just
I,
compared to like the first one.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm generally agreeing with you and saying that everyone seemed to do a decent job in this one. I can't really think of anyone in the second or the first one that really stood out as weird, like except for no, yeah, no, I'll agree with you.
I was gonna say like along the lines of what you were saying, Zach. I think that Pepper Potts changed as a character a little bit. Like she seems uh, more like Pepper Potts in this one as compared to the first one.
Yeah.
I also prefer Don Cheadle as Rhodey.
Yes, that was like so. What ended up happening there was they wanted to give Robert Downey Jr. more money because obviously, like perfect Tony Stark, you can't like he was made for the role. Um, but they were going to take it out of um, the other guy's salary. So, and the other guy was like, "No, absolutely not. Like, you pay me what I deserve." Um, and then because of that, they recast him.
Yeah, uh, I found that in the second one, Rhodey had less personality, and I think that come down to more to writing, right, than acting in any stretch. I found that in the first one, Rhodey was more jokey and whatnot, but that also could come down to just like him being pressured from all sides about the Iron Man suit, right? In the first one, I just found he had more personality uh, in his dialogue.
Yeah, and I think it'll develop. It develops more on it. Like the further you go in the MCU, and he becomes like more of an actual character. One of the things that I loved was how they actually introduced him into the MCU. Like you see this guy walking, you just see the back of the head. You can tell it's not. I think it's Terrence Howard was the original actor.
Yeah,
You can tell slightly from behind that it's not the same guy, and it was literally just like handshake. He's like, "Hey, buddy, it's good to see you." He's like, "Yeah, it's me. I'm here. Get over it. Let's do this." And it just sort of it was almost like a nod to the audience, just be like, "Yeah, we know we recasted. Like it's happening," which you don't get when you see like the transition from Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo for the Hulk.
Which is a great transition.
Yeah, and honestly, the further you go in, the new War Machine is definitely like Don Cheadle's War Machine is fantastic.
yeah. There wasn't too much where he could like really show the depth of character in this movie because it's like this isn't what's his name? Sorry,
Wait,
the what's his superhero name?
oh War Machine.
Yeah, War Machine. He wasn't War Machine at this point. Like he just had the suit at the end. So this was still Colonel James Rhodes, and I thought he played the character a lot better than Terrence Howard. Just because like Terrence Howard, I agree. If this was farther on, he would have done a great job, but he wasn't serious enough because like you're still supposed to be. He's like, I'm in the military. This is my job. Like I'm a colonel. You don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Whereas I think he played it, Don Cheadle played it a lot more serious, and I think it fit the character a lot better. And as you go on, you're definitely going to see more of him, and more of like more or different sides of his acting.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's just a stylistic disagreement we have there. I preferred the less serious one. Uh, in response to like, or in respect to how he interacted with Tony, because him and Tony were friends, right? When he was, from what I recall from the first one, when he was talking to the military, he seemed relatively professional and all that kind of stuff to the military. But I liked how there was like a change of character when he was talking to the military rather than when he was talking to Tony, because they were like friends and all that kind of stuff. But that, I mean, that's just personal preference, right?
Yeah. And I don't think like they didn't really show too much of that, like the friendship in this one, and I think they did it on purpose because at this point, like Tony's getting like summoned by the U.S. government, like to hand over your suits, and James, like Rhodey, is part of that pretty much. He's like, I like they pay my salary. This is my job. You have it.
Yeah, stuck between a rock and a hard place there.
Yeah, and that's where like near the end, like or actually at the end, you get to see more of that relationship.
Yeah, yeah. Get a roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and overall, like I very much enjoyed like the writing in this one, and just like the back and forth between all the characters, um, and and the way it was handled. Honestly, even the writing for the U.S. like the senator, like that felt very real. Like that felt like that could have taken place like now. Almost like instead of Tony Stark, it was Dr. Fauci, or just like just this, the Senate just ripping apart someone, and it was just great.
Yeah, except for the obvious, like, not following court protocol in the slightest kind of shit that they do in movies, right?
Yeah,
But I mean, that's literally every movie. Yeah, I didn't have any problem with the writing too much. I found they made Pepper Potts to be pretty believable. My main problem with her was like, if when Tony was like, "You're gonna be CEO," she just like didn't ask why or what or anything. She's just like, "Yep, I will accept this. There is no rhyme or reason for this, but yep." But then after that, with the all the stressors and whatnot that was on her from not only being the CEO but Tony just like fucking everything up at all times, I found that they wrote her to be quite believable in the whole just like, I'm gonna cut you off, I don't really care what you have to say, you're the reason I'm in this mess, fuck off kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. It was it's definitely good, and it's really good that they were able to use the writing and actually made the characters a bit better. Because even you like priding Pepper Potts, and then the first one, you hated that character.
I hate the actress.
Yeah, but the
You tell me
fact,
you don't want to buy her vagina scented candle?
yeah,
No.
the fact that the writing can actually do that, almost like pull. Because there are some movies that I just won't watch because I despise the actor. Like it's just they're just terrible people. I'm just like no. But even if you're bad and they can pull you out and actually play a character well and the writing's done well, I think it shows or deserves commendation for that.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps that she's this not a like the main character, right? If this was like Pepper Potts the movie and it was just her, I'm pretty sure I would just like hate it because I hate her, right? So I think being a side character, I'm able to give more like leniency. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And the what you how'd you guys find the pacing of the movie?
Go ahead, Jordan.
I thought it was a little bit all over the place. Just for me, the timing wasn't 100% solid. Like that, the only one that I recall was like the 6 months, and that was like 6 months after Tony Stark admitted to being Iron Man. Sorry, I'm burping. Other than that, I mean, like I don't recall seeing um, any other time. So did this take place just over like a month? Because it took him 6 months. Ivan, it took him 6 months to build that one suit and infiltrate his way in, and then in like 2 days or 3 days, he built like that massive suit. Even though he did have the resources of Justin Hammer, it just seems like to be able to build that one suit in secret would take a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think they definitely sped it up, and the reason was just like we have literally all the dollars, so we can buy anything, right? I didn't have too much problem with like the timeline. I found that the like pacing of the movie was very up and down. They had like really like roller coastery moments followed by absolutely nothing kind of thing, and there was not a whole lot of it was like the brakes got slammed on all at once. You know what I mean? There was no like cool down period. It was just, oh my god, we're at the bottom again, kind of thing. And sometimes that can definitely work in movies, but I found that this one it felt a little bit more jarring. Like he fought with his best friend and his suit was stolen and all this kind of stuff, and then it's just like, yeah, now I'm just eating donuts in a donut. That's fine. We're not going to talk about this or cool down or have like a any sort of reaction to what just happened. We're just gonna go chill.
You know I can't function without my coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Zach? Did you have anything to say about the like pacing of it?
Um, Overall, like it definitely was. It had its ups and downs. Yeah, the not knowing the time frame in between everything was a little felt like it was a little bit squished. But I didn't find that there was too many um, like slow moments where like there's some movies you're just like it's just almost like a character's either just staring off in the distance or for too long or something like that. So when I categorize slow moments, it's like there's just hardly anything happening. Whereas in this movie, there was definitely more high paced moments. So like the action scene where he's fighting in they're fighting each other in the house or the car race or something like that. But even the slower moments where he is just talking to Nick Fury in the coffee shop, um, or promoting Pepper, or even going to see Pepper at the office after he was told, "Hey, don't leave the house." Um, they didn't feel slow to me because there was still like key component things happening in all those scenes. So stuff always something to pay attention to. There was nothing where I was just like, oh, I like this dude's just going on like a weird sunset cruise or whatever. I'll pull up my phone and check that. So that's where I define my pacing for movies. But
Yeah, I think the character he plays definitely helps with that, right? Because in any other movie, if it wasn't Robert Downey Jr. playing like an Iron Man-esque character with his humor and all that kind of stuff, the scenes like the court scene would have been slow and drawling, all that kind of stuff. The scenes with Pepper Potts when he goes and gives her strawberries or whatever, all that kind of crap, right? Like those in a regular movie with a regular character could have very easily been slow, but because it's Tony Stark and his quirks and his humor and all that, it really brings it back up, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I want to talk about why he has no sense of urgency in the movie. Like I get that some things are just unknowns to him. Like he doesn't know that Ivan and Hammer are working together, so he can't really. I gotta pump the suit out for that. But like he's got palladium in his chest, poisoning him. But nope, not gonna tell my personal assistant who knows fucking everything about me. Not gonna go to a doctor.
no,
Nope. We're gonna talk to my robot, my AI.
and drink chlorophyll.
Yeah, which I don't know what that is. I don't think it's safe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just a part of a plant's cell that absorbs light to turn it into energy for photosynthesis.
Yeah, plant jizz.
Sure. um, I kind of agree with you. I also kind of disagree with you. The To me, the reason that Tony wouldn't go to a doctor is because between him and Jarvis, what is the doctor going to tell him that he doesn't already know, right? Like if he doesn't know something, Jarvis will. That's literally the point of Jarvis. And as for not telling Potts, that's like again super common for people who are dying to not want to burden people around them. I mean, he burdens her with CO, but that's more about putting his legacy on. And then he does go to try and tell her when with the strawberry scene, and at that point she's so pissed off she just blows him off and doesn't even do anything. So, well, there is no sense of urgency. I think it's because he, in his mind, and which is a very vast mind, believes he has exhausted all his viable options and that there really is nothing he can do. So, if there's nothing you can do, why rush it?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. But also I don't know how the like so if the poison's already in your body, how does the new element just suck it all out?
Maybe it just absorbed whatever the palladium was leaking into his body. Because that's what I'm reading up online, and that's what apparently the chlorophyll does. What's that stupid answer? Chelation of heavy metals. Chlorophyll is one of the most important. Uh, I don't know if I'm saying chelates right. In nature, its ability to bind to and remove toxic heavy metals such as mercury makes it an extremely powerful healer. So I guess that's what the chlorophyll was doing. So maybe that's what the new elephant element did in some way.
It
Okay.
could be that, or it could just be his body can process some of it, right? Like it'll go through his liver and all that kind of stuff and process some of it. But the palladium to keep him alive is putting more than his body can process. And then when he switches to element 132 or whatever the fuck it was, it's no longer putting the palladium in, so his body's able to digest and basically dilute and release the palladium that's left over because no more is being put in.
That's true,
Okay.
and also the shot that Romanov gave him in the donut shop was to help like counteract it. So maybe that like once the palladium was no longer pumping into his body, the shot like just finished it off.
The shot they said was just for symptoms. It wasn't for. It wouldn't actually do anything to him. They said it was still on him to help. So,
But didn't the shit on his neck start to recede, or did it just stop?
according to them, that's just a symptom.
Yeah. The visualization of the poisoning is just a symptom.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's just for the viewer. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Um, and honestly, the villains are I find were much better than the first one. The first one was just sort of like, hey, yeah, like jealous, um, like jealous mentor wants what you have and just wants to kill you so he can have it. Or this one,
Technically, that's envy.
yeah. Um, but this one here was more like it was a revenge style villain for on both parts, really. With Justin Hammer, and then when he brought in Vanko after Vanko did pulled the stunt at the race car track. I really enjoyed like all the villains in this one.
I
I'm gonna let you go before me, Jordan, because I have a very different point of view on that one.
I agree somewhat. I'd really loved Ivan. I honestly would have liked to see more of him in the movie. Like you only get one like or two scenes with him, and it's just an introduction basically, and then the end fight, which I don't think lasted long enough. Um, the fight between Ivan and Tony and Rhodey, not the drones.
Yeah,
But Justin Hammer, I think, was like almost a carbon copy of Jebediah Obadiah, whatever his fucking name was. Except instead of even being like in the company, he was a rival. Although I do like that guy as a character, I would love to see him come back because I'm pretty sure he's like a decent villain in the comics as well. And I love Sam Rockwell as an actor. I think he'd do fantastic. And he did threaten Pepper, so maybe now that Tony Stank is gone, he's going to try and take over Stark Industries.
yeah. They are coming out with a an Armor Wars TV series on Disney Plus that focuses on War Machine. So he could pop up in there as a bad guy.
I think that'd be really good. I just want like Sam Rockwell to come back. I think that'd be fantastic.
I will agree that both Mickey Rourke, is it Ricky or Mickey?
Mickey.
Mickey. I think he played the character well. He played the cold, calculating, I don't give a fuck because I know that I can do whatever the fuck I want character very well. And Sam Rockwell, I think you said his name was. I think he played an obnoxious asshole very well too, because I just hated that character. Just like from what he was like, right? He's just a selfish prick. But I found the motivations on them to be like super, super lame. Mickey Rourke's slightly less so than the other guy. The other guy was, like you said, he's basically just like a shitty carbon copy of uh, Obadiah, but he didn't even have like it taken out from under him. Like Obadiah basically helped to build Stark Industries, and he was running it while Tony was underage and everything. Like that was his baby, and then it just got ripped out from under him by the child who had nothing to do with it just because of the name. So his jealousy and envy to me had a stronger link than the other guy, Sam Rockwell's character, Hammer. Hammer is just like, your company's better than mine, and you made me look silly, therefore I'm going to try and kill you. Like, I I don't like that as a motivation at all. He's just like, meh, instead of actually becoming a good company and doing something to show you I'm better, I'm just going to kill you instead. Meh. Like, I don't like him at all. And for Mickey Rourke's character, yes, it's got a tinge of revenge in it, but again, it's a really bad reason. Like Buddy got kicked out of America for literally like treason and selling stuff to enemy things, right? Like he was literally just trying to make money and uh, like at the expense of everyone. He wasn't trying to help anyone like everyone else was. And so he got kicked out, and then he got kicked back to Russia, and then the Russians are just like, no, fuck you, you're actually a useless piece of shit when he's selling plutonium to their enemies, right? Like his father is just a piece of shit. And then he's like, you know why my dad's a piece of shit? Because of you, Tony Stark, because of you. And then he just goes and tries to kill him. Like Tony Stark, Howard Stark did the right thing. Tony Stark had nothing to do with it, and Mickey Rourke's character is just like, I'm mad about it, grr. Like, I feel both the antagonists in this were really bad. I preferred Obadiah. I think he had a pretty weak thing too. It was just jealousy and envy and all that kind of stuff. But I think his made more sense and like was more relatable than these two. These two are just stupid evil for the sake of evil almost.
I do have some things to say about that, but I want to make sure Zach, you jump in if you have something to clarify if I've said something wrong. But I believe there's a couple nods to Tony and Justin Hammer's relationship. I believe they were like their fathers were rivals growing up, or when they were growing up. So I think they have a previous relationship. As for wanting revenge on Tony, it's because he effectively got his contract with the government revoked.
Yeah, because he was lying about everything. He was a piece of shit beforehand. Like the character's whole arc is just I'm a piece of shit. You outed me for it, so I'm going to be a piece of shit.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify, and then
Yeah.
I don't believe he wanted to kill Tony in the beginning. He wanted to upstage him at his own expo, so he wanted the suits ready to go. And then when Ivan was like, "No, drone's better," he's like, "Okay, but this better like fucking steal the show," because that's why he was like freaking out towards the end instead of just like taking his butler and piecing.
Yeah, no, you're true. I definitely overinflated his intentions when I said he was trying to kill him. Because if you do think about it, he was just trying to one up him. But again, I, I didn't find him to be very compelling. I didn't find his reasoning to be compelling. He was basically just a whiny child. I think the Sam Rockwell or whatever his name was, played a whiny child very well. I just didn't like the character.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I hope they bring him back because I feel like I'm assuming he went to jail for all this after the movie. I don't know for sure.
He got arrested, so I would imagine so.
Yeah, so I'm assuming like I hopefully if he comes back, he's coming back in like the okay, you sent me to prison. I was just trying to like upstage you, but you sent me to fucking prison. Now I'm coming for blood. Which is he's basically going to be doing what Ivan was doing, was coming for the company or coming after the legacy.
Yeah.
And Ivan, I believe, Howard Stark was directly responsible for getting him kicked out of the United States.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
again, he was in the right for that. So I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you grow up in Siberia with a dad that's been scorned by first, like, Tony Stark's dad, the U.S. government, and then by his own government because they can't use him for what they wanted, which was like all the designs. Um, then he's going to be like in a vodka fueled rage for 20, 30 years, and you're going to be growing up in that environment. Like, that's all you're going to know. So that's who you are at that point.
Yeah. I understand his anger towards him and all that kind of stuff. It's just I don't for like a second movie and whatnot. You try and escalate the villains in movie series because you want to like build tension and build like importance. I didn't find You Got My Asshole Dad kicked out of the country to be that is basically all I'm saying really.
Yeah.
I did like the one thing I did like about the character was technically instead of trying to kill Tony, he was trying to discredit Tony and have everyone else come after Tony. Basically, like he said at the one part, the blood's in the water and the sharks will come. I did like that, but he didn't really make good on that. Most of the time, it looked like he was just trying to kill Tony. So
Yeah, well, he did say, I think it was at the race. He's just like, I didn't, or I beat you, and he's like, are you sure? Like, I clearly kicked your ass. And he's just like, no, no, no. If you can make God bleed, then people will cease to believe in him. So it definitely looks like he was like trying to hurt him and kill him. But the main goal was it just like at least showing a wound, showing a weakness, so then everyone else around would be like, oh fuck, okay, maybe Iron Man can't actually help us or defend us from everything.
yeah, and I think that was the best part about his character was the way he wanted to do it. I just didn't like his motivation.
Yeah, and I think one of the main things is it was so when they started out with the MCU, they definitely had a plan. If it all went well, to sort of build into like um, Thanos style villains throughout their storytelling. So in all the movies, I think I find like a lot of the villains that they use, they don't want them to be like massive things because you don't want to take away from that end goal type deal. So I think that's where they sort of just handpick these smaller villains, and then because they're not as well known, it almost suffers from like the classic tropes. You're like, hey, no, you're a revenge villain, you're envy villain type deal, and then the writers don't really know how to write them because these characters aren't crazy well known. They're just in like one or two or three comic books type deal. So I think it suffers from the writing, and then suffers from that sort of motivation because you don't want to take away from the like Thanos level size threats that you're trying to build towards,
Mm-hmm.
which is
All right,
tough.
if you'll allow me, I want to just like rapid fire out some random plot points that I thought were stupid.
Yeah, go for it.
um, at the very beginning, when he's going to his little expo opening, he gets hit with a firework and it knocks him off course. What? The firework wouldn't have anywhere near that kind of force. It would just bounce off him. He weighs like a fucking metric ton because in the first one he just like broke through his own ceiling trying to land. A firework wouldn't do shit. Uh, when Mickey Rourke attacked him at the raceway, he was just like cutting cars in half and cutting into the concrete and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. And then he hits Tony with it before Tony has the suit on, and it just kind of knocks him over. I don't really know what happened there. You like hit him in the leg, and Tony just like fell into a car and gave himself a bump on the head. I don't really know how that happened. And then like after that, he cuts a door in half that Pepper and them's in, and Pepper's trying to give Tony the suit in a case, and they're just like waiting for the door to open for some reason when there's literally only half a door there. Just fucking throw it out the door. She waited until the half of the car got cut off to throw it out. I don't know what she was waiting for. I think it was just to artificially build tension.
More upper body strength.
When he tells Rhodes that he's like dying or whatever, I don't know if he told him, but it was when he took the palladium out in front of Rhodes. The palladium's literally smoking, and Rhodes even mentions, "Is it supposed to be smoking like that?" So it's smoking, it's disintegrating, it's like red hot. Rhodes just reaches in with his hand and picks it out. It's an overheated metal. That's no problem whatsoever. um, and then this is kind of the same as from last one. The very first time Rhodes gets in War Machine, he can just fly immediately. It's not a big deal. Just yeah, that's cool. He can pilot it 100%, no problem. And then when Tony's inventing the new element, that whole scene, like the making the new element, shooting the like power into it and whatnot, that's all whatever. That's very sci-fi. But making a new element isn't like, or inventing, I should say, not making. Inventing a new element really isn't that hard. It's literally just neutrons and neutron number or proton number, and then neutrons to balance out the weight, right? And then the electrons are the exact same as the protons. Like, it's not like it's hard. If you have 143 elements or whatever the fuck there is, I don't actually know offhand, then the 144th just has 144 protons. It's not like you need some big revelation for that. You can just keep doing that until you find one that replaces it. But instead, he had to have this like hidden fucking circle in a thing that his dad left him. I don't really fucking know.
He's an engineer. He doesn't do biology.
It's chemistry for close.
Yeah.
And then the one thing that really seemed like a weird cop out to me was at the very end when everything had bombs in it. I have no problem with everything having bombs in it, but it just seemed really weird that he's just like, "Oh, I was knocked over once. Better blow myself up," right? Like, it just, there's no way with the timer he put on those bombs, it was like a fucking 15-second timer before they exploded, that he expected that to do absolutely anything to Tony. Like, I really don't understand what the point was.
Yeah.
That might have been just as a last, like, fuck you. Like, even if you beat me, I'm still taking down a lot of stuff. Like, I think he was also hoping that his robots would do a lot more damage and have a lot more public held captive.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like a shame to just like kill Mickey Rourke's character off in like a suicide bomb and then not kill the other guy. I liked Mickey Rourke's character better, and then it felt bad to me.
That was a big issue I had with the end fight as well. Like, he just got blasted once and then gave up. Like,
Yeah, the end fight was like the exact same as the first fight when they were on the raceway. Like, even to the like how they were going to deal with the whips, he pulled him towards him. Like, that was the exact same fight, except for they did the double blast thing to beat him, and he basically got hit once, and that was it. That end fight, the whole like drone part was kind of cool and whatever, although there were some problems with that, which doesn't really matter. But then the actual big boss comes, and it's like a minute and a half of basically carbon copy of the first one, but he's in a suit instead of by himself. I really didn't like that last fight.
yeah, the only thing I could think of is that, like, maybe the blast, since he was in the center, fucked up his power source or something, or something in the suit, so that he couldn't actually use it properly. What was your first one? I had something to say.
Oh, when he got hit by a firework and knocked him off course.
Oh yeah, have you seen some fireworks? Like some of the big show ones? They're fucking massive.
Yeah, but he's in like a fucking 1,000-pound suit that's being propelled by an arc reactor fucking jet propulsor. I don't care what kind of gunpowder you got.
Oh no, like they have literal shells.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just not buying it. Again, that one's just a stupid little nitpick. That doesn't matter in the slightest.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I do think it was a vast improvement compared to the first one. Not just like film wise, but like writing wise, directing, and everything like that. So this was the same director as the first one. Is John Favreau, who plays Happy. Um, and even though it seemed like there was a lot going on in this one, and same with the first one, but this one there's not too much for for the set really. Like it seemed like it was very simplistic settings, and that it was maybe five different places, 5 or 6 realistically, which I enjoyed. Like I don't like when the people are like jumping around. There's like, okay, now we're going to like they went to Russia. They showed the Russia stuff, and then it was like Tony's house, the airplane, and then where else were they? Monaco, um, and then the Stark Expo. Like that to me, I enjoyed instead of having it hop all over the place. And you're just like, holy fuck, where are we now?
They make good use of warehouses. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
They're just like, all right, we're going to a different high-tech facility or something. It's a warehouse with airplanes in it. That makes it a rich person's airplane or warehouse. Like there was a lot of stuff like that, but yeah, I didn't have too much problem with the sets. My main problem with it, like I said before, was a lot of it was very dark, so you couldn't actually take in a lot of the surrounding. Like at the end, they were in a park of some sort, some description. It had some water, but again, you couldn't tell really anything around what was happening around it because it was so dark.
I don't really have an issue with that, just because in my mind it's like I've been in a park at night, um, and while there are like lights and shit, it's still I don't have the best vision, so I didn't have too much of an issue with that. Also because like I guess my screen was bright enough that I didn't feel like I was missing anything in the background. I
yeah,
guess
Yeah,
that definitely helps out, because like if a scene is too dark, the only reason I have issues with it is if like one I can't see literally anything happening, or if I think there's something in the background that I'm missing.
the
But in
nun.
this one,
The
what?
nun was terrible for that.
I don't think I've seen the Nun.
It's just a horror movie. It was dark as hell. Half the movie, if you tried to watch that movie in the drive-through, it was like 78% just black.
Just turn on my fucking high beams, bro.
um, and then once again, even though the characters themselves may not have like the best writing or the best motivations and stuff like that, the actors playing every one of these characters, like it was phenomenal. Like I really enjoyed the acting coming from everyone, and Robert Downey Jr. just felt even more comfortable in this role to me than he did compared to the first one. Like it seemed like it was a more natural feeling that you're actually seeing this Tony Stark come to life.
Yeah, this one it didn't really feel like a Iron or Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. It felt like Iron Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't have too much problem with the acting. I'd say the main thing that sticks out to me is the drunk scenes when Tony was drunk and when his father was drunk. Those seemed a little forced, but I mean, other than that, it's not a big deal. I didn't have any real problem with any of the acting in it.
Yeah, it might have seemed forced because I think at this point he was sober. So he's like, "Well, fuck, I'm not getting drunk, guys, but I'll act drunk."
yeah, yeah. I think he, yeah, I'm pretty sure he got sober. I think he was almost sober for the first one, but yeah, the some of the other nods to the other movies, it was amusing to me that you find out where Tony had no clue what his dad actually did. When Nick Fury was like, "No, like your dad, he actually cared a lot about you," and he's like, "Oh, I guess you knew him better than I did." And he's like, "Yeah, I did, because he's a founding member of Shield." And Tony's like, "What the fuck?" So little nod over to the Captain America on that one.
Yeah, I don't know much about the MCU, so the nods I notice are really blatant, I guess. But when Mickey Rourke at the beginning was making his first whip set, and he was hammering the metal, they put him in a very similar shirt to Robert Downey Jr. They used the exact same camera angle. He stood in the exact same pose and hammered the exact same way as Robert Downey Jr. did when he was working on his first arc reactor in the cave.
Yeah, and they actually um, you see when Tony criticizes Vanko's arc reactor design, um, and he said that the hertz were a little was a little low and it wasn't a very much output. So you can see when he picks it up, he analyzes it. Um, it's actually 1.81 gigajoules per second. And the reactor that Tony built in the first one in that cave with scraps was 5 gigajoules per second.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't remember what the output was on the first one.
Yeah, so I think that just it was one of those things where it's just like even though you have all the designs, like you don't have the mind of Tony. Like you may be and it was almost like a rub in your face type deal.
Yeah, but he was able to fix it.
Yeah.
Once Tony told him, he was able to fix it. One that kind of baffled me was at the very beginning when Ivan's dad was watching the news, and he was watching Tony do the Iron Man speech, which was from the end of the first one. They reshot that for that. Did you notice that? In the first movie, I opened up the first movie and double checked just to make sure I wasn't wrong. In the at the end of the first movie when he did the Iron Man thing, he said when he says to the truth is or to tell you the truth or whatever he said the word truth. He picks up his flash card and is going to read it right off the card. Then he puts his hand down a little bit, looks to the crowd, and he's looking kind of off his right shoulder, and then he says, "I am Iron Man." On the TV version at the beginning of the second one, there's no card. Rhodes isn't there, didn't whisper to him to tell him to like stay on track or anything like that. There's no card, and he's looking off his left shoulder when he does that. I don't know why they just decided to refilm that little section.
Yeah.
I have an answer because Rhodes is different.
Yeah.
And he was in the background of that shot, I'm pretty sure, so they had to redo the whole thing.
Could be. It's weird that they just didn't shoot it the same way. And did you notice that they put lines in the beginning of this one that weren't in the end of the first one?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. When he's, I think when he's talking to that reporter, is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the reporter's talking. She did the whole like bodyguard spiel that she did in the first one, and then she went on and started talking about, oh, the bodyguard just happened to have hidden Stark tech and whatnot. That wasn't said in the first one. And then after she said about the hidden Stark tech, that's when Tony responds with, "I know it's all very confusing," which is what he said at the end of the first one. So not only did they put in like a deleted line or whatnot, they also had to refilm it, and that was the main like weird MCU nod or reference or whatever that I got, and that how it was actually different from the second one to the first one.
Yeah, and also the little shield thing that he uses to
Oh yeah, I did
level it
write
out.
that down.
That one, it was like in a box of his father's junk. But in the first one, it's just sort of like sitting there, or I think he was 3D printing it at the time or something like that. But it was definitely in his garage.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, when I saw it, I didn't know really what it was. It was like a hacked up Captain America shield. I'm like, is that vibranium or is that just like, what is that?
What about you, Jordan? Do you notice any odd nods to the other movies?
Not really 100%. Like other than what you guys have said. Although I did kind of notice something. I had to like really really zoom in. But at the end, when Tony is talking to Fury, in the background, like when he's like doing all this shield shit, and he's got the screens around him. There's one of the screens has like a picture of Africa, and it's got like a point on it. And I don't know if these are like points of interest, but maybe that's like Wakanda.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I never do is I never look that closely at the background to like you guys brought it up last time with the like shipping dock had like someone's name on it or something like that. My eyes are not good enough to pick up that stuff. So if it's not front and center, there's no way in hell.
Yeah.
I think it's just because I've seen these movies before, and I'm like most of the time now. If there's something in the background that I haven't seen before, I'll focus on it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, and especially when it comes to like these movies, when you first learn that like, oh, these are building up on top of each other and stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely something. And before we get to for our ratings, let's let's have a big yeah for Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
There we go.
That?
Oh yeah, that'll work.
I'm gonna say something controversial.
Oh no.
Rest in
She
peace, DJ AM.
she looks better in clothes than out of clothes.
You just did you look up ScarJo nudes or?
I mean, she was like one of the main ones in that like fappening thing that happened like what 40 years ago now.
Yeah, in internet years that was 40 years ago.
Yeah, she was like one of the main ones that was like all over Reddit and whatnot. Her and the Hunger Games chick, so it's pretty hard to have not seen them.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, she's a lady. Like she's a very attractive lady, but she's one that looks better in clothes than out of clothes.
So you're telling me if Scarlett Johansson came up to you on the street and asked you to have sex, you'd be like, yeah, as long as you keep everything on.
I'd say no, regardless. But okay.
Here's an extra pair of socks. Put these on beforehand.
That's just a Jordan thing.
Fuck, I'd cut the feet off. Everyone's getting peg legs.
Also, like Robert Downey Jr. did get the MCU treatment where he, when he was working in there, like, he's pretty swole.
He has to wear like a fake prosthetic. I don't know in the second one, but in the first one he had to wear like a fake chest, didn't he, because of the arc reactor?
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing in the second one too. He's got a prosthesis.
Yeah, you can definitely tell because like he's like obviously a relatively fit guy and whatnot, but his chest sticks way out farther than it should. Especially in the first one when he was wearing like the wife beaters or whatever when he was making the stuff, you could tell that's just like that's not natural.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we got that out of the way. Now we'll all be thinking of that. Now let's get our ratings in.
Robert Downey Jr.'s chest, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get our ratings in. I'm gonna start. I'm giving it a 9. This was a great improvement on the first one. You can definitely tell that they're getting into their groove, writing wise, acting wise, and everything like that. And Marvel's storytelling is getting better and it's improving upon itself. The characters and the acting was great. The action scenes were pretty good. Still, it jumped around a fair bit, but I think that's a normal thing for the MCU. There's not too many movies now that just do continuous action scenes. Enjoyed the villains, enjoyed the effects. It was just a solid movie. So that's a 9 for me.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I agree with pretty much everything that you said. Although no one said rest in peace, DJ AM. Offensive.
I don't care about him.
Oh, he died of a drug overdose.
Did he?
Yeah, a couple months after filming his role. So he was the DJ at the party.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be doing hard drugs. Therefore, I don't
Goldstein.
care.
Yeah, 100%. Just DJ AM.
Yeah, I know I'm an asshole, but I generally don't have too much sympathy for people who overdose on stupid shit.
That's
fair.
fair.
They got themselves into that situation. Unless it was like they got hooked because they had an accident or put on opioids or something because America's fucking retarded and all that kind of shit, and then they overdosed on that. That I have a little bit more sympathy of, but if they're just like, I tried heroin as a kid and then I overdosed later, and then I'm just like, no, you're fucking retarded.
Yeah, if they're like, I didn't have that much fun last night, so I'm just gonna do way more heroin to have more fun.
Yeah. Let's double down. Let's go!
I'm gonna double pump my heroin needles into my thighs. Yeah, I'm giving it an 8.
The technical aspect of it, I didn't mind. The music and whatnot was all fine. Some of the effects were a little sketchy and dark at times. The plot was okay. My least favorite part about this movie was the villains. I found them, again, like I've beaten this to death. I just found them shallow. So I think I prefer the first one, even though it has like Pepper's a worse character. I don't know. It's really close because Pepper's better in this one, but since she's a side character, I don't think she carries as much weight as the main villains. I think they were worse in this one. There's 2 of them. I like how they were portrayed and all that, but just I didn't like their motivation. So I think I'll give this one like a 6.5. I think I would prefer to watch the first one, but I would watch this one again, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
6.5, eh? All right. Oh, didn't do my adding. There we go.
623 divided by 3. Let's go.
All right, so we got a 7.8. That's a 7.8 out of 10 rating from the By the Railside crew. If you guys want, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Let us know what you guys thought of the movie. Or you can join our Discord and follow us. And you can even subscribe on twitch.tv/bytherailside.
That sounds like value.
20% off.
Yeah, what?
That's what mine says. 20% off.
Oh, 20% off. Yeah, subscribe. 20%
20%
off.
off.
It's a great
You
deal.
could even use Twitch Prime and do it for free.
That is
Use
true.
code We Watch Marvel to get 0% off.
The next movie is going to be The Incredible Hulk, starring
With
Edward Norton.
Horton.
Yep. And Liv Tyler.
Who the fuck is that?
That's the girl.
I don't
Son
remember
of
anything about
Steven
this movie
Tyler?
whatsoever, other than there was like
Son.
in the mountains at some point.
Yeah. Oh no, that's just Hulk, I think.
Yeah,
That's the one with Eric Bana.
Okay, well then I
Yeah.
don't think I've seen this one.
Okay. Well, that's good because that's most of the movies in this series for Jeff.
I definitely like Mark Ruffalo's presentation as the Hulk. He plays like a very I'm nervous because if I'm not nervous, I'm going to kill everyone by accident kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll see how Edward Norton does.
Yeah. It should be good. We will be live again for the recording next Friday as well. You can join us here on Twitch. Other than that, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I hope it's great. I know ours probably might be. So we'll see you guys later.
Don't do heroin.
Probably
It's
stupid.
fucking stupid.